My mom tried to secretly give my newborn son up for adoption because she was afraid he would upstage my sister's wedding. I ended up suing her. I gave birth 3 weeks ago. A beautiful, tiny, perfect little boy. My whole world shifted overnight, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I finally had something no one could take from me. Growing up, it was obvious my mom always favored my younger sister, Sophie. No matter what I did, the awards, the scholarships, the jobs, it was never enough. She wanted me to be smaller, quieter, easier to control. She wanted a daughter who didn't make her feel like she was losing. When I got pregnant, it wasn't some accident. My husband and I had planned for it. We were thrilled, even though the timing wasn't perfect. Sophie had just gotten engaged, and my mom was already deep into wedding planning mode, but still, I thought she'd be happy for me. I told her the news, hoping for even a fraction of excitement. She looked me in the eye and said, "Couldn't you have waited? This is Sophie's year." No congratulations, no hug. Just disappointment like I had personally ruined her social calendar. During the pregnancy, it only got worse. She barely called. She ignored ultrasound updates. When I invited her to my baby shower, she said she had a venue tour for the wedding and couldn't make it. Every missed moment chipped away at me, but I kept holding on because of the promise I made my dad on his deathbed. Take care of your mother. She's not strong like she seems. I kept holding on even when it felt like I was the only one trying. Then, 4 months before Sophie's wedding, Mom called. Not to check on me or the baby. She said I needed to do something about the pregnancy because it would upset the family and steal attention from Sophie. I thought I misheard her at first. Nope. She wanted me to hide the pregnancy, or better yet, stay away completely until after the wedding. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. You don't understand how important this is, she said. Sophie's been dreaming about this day her whole life. As if I hadn't dreamed about my son. As if I hadn't spent sleepless nights worrying over every little thing that could go wrong. As if I was just some embarrassing accident to be hidden away. I said no. I said it calmly, but inside I was shaking. There was this long pause. Then she said, "Then you're making your choice," and hung up on me. And that was it. She stopped answering texts. She ignored my calls. When I went into labor, she wasn't there. She didn't send a card, a gift, not even a message to say she hoped we were okay. I held my son in my arms in that hospital room, overwhelmed with love for him and heartbreak for myself. I told myself I didn't need her. I had my husband. I had my baby. I had my new family. But part of me still grieved. Because deep down, no matter how strong you think you are, there's a piece of you that always wants your mom to show up, to care, to say, "I'm proud of you," or "I love you," without conditions attached. I tried to focus on my son. I tried to push everything else away, but something told me this wasn't over. I just didn't know yet how much worse it was going to get. About 3 weeks after my son was born, I got a call from my mom. I almost didn't answer. I had been ignoring her for weeks, trying to focus on my baby, trying to breathe again without feeling that sharp, familiar pain every time her name popped up on my screen. But I remembered my dad. I remembered the promise. Take care of your mother. I remembered how much he loved her even when she didn't deserve it. So I picked up. The second I said hello, she was crying. Loud, hysterical crying that made my stomach drop before she even spoke a word. I asked what was wrong, and for a second I thought someone had died. Then she said it. She had tried to put my baby up for adoption behind my back. At first, I didn't even understand what she meant. My brain literally could not process the words. She said it again, slower, like it would somehow make it better. She had gone to an adoption agency. She told them that I was a drug addict. She said my husband was abusive. She said we were unfit parents and that she, as the guardian, was placing the baby for adoption. She faked legal documents. She lied about everything, yet, she forged court papers that didn't exist. I sat there on the couch, my son asleep in my arms, feeling like the floor was dissolving underneath me. She was still talking, still crying, still begging me to understand. But I heard none of it. Apparently, the adoption agency grew suspicious. Things didn't add up. They did a background check, found no court orders, no history of drug charges, no legal custody awarded to her. They flagged it immediately and contacted authorities. She was under investigation. She would be served court papers soon. She could go to jail. And now she was calling me, not to apologize, not to admit she was wrong, but to beg me to help her cover it up. She said, "Please, I didn't mean it. I just wanted to fix everything before Sophie's wedding. I thought it was for the best." I hung up without a word. My husband came home to find me shaking so badly I dropped a glass trying to pick it up. I told him everything, every disgusting detail. And for the first time since I met him, I saw pure rage on his face. We sat at the kitchen table, our baby sleeping between us in his bassinet, and decided we weren't going to let this go. We called a lawyer. We filed a civil lawsuit against my mother for fraud, forgery, and emotional distress. We also gave our full support to the criminal investigation already in progress. For the first time in my life, I wasn't making excuses for her. I wasn't trying to smooth things over. I wasn't bending myself in half to keep the peace for the sake of family. She crossed a line there was no coming back from. A week later, she was officially placed under house arrest pending trial. I heard from a neighbor that she threw a tantrum when they fitted the ankle monitor, screaming about betrayal, about how I had abandoned her, about how none of this was her fault. I didn't feel sorry for her, and I knew deep down that this wasn't just about the wedding. This had been building for years. After the charges were filed and the lawsuit was in motion, the real fallout started. My mom didn't stay quiet. She couldn't. She started texting and calling constantly, flooding my inbox with these long, rambling messages about family, forgiveness, and how I was breaking her heart by not letting this go. At first, I ignored her. I focused on my baby, on my husband, on surviving each exhausting day of new motherhood without letting the weight of it all crush me. But then she started bringing up my dad. She knew exactly where to aim. "Your father would be ashamed of you," she wrote. "You're spitting on his memory." I stared at those words for a long time, and for a second, the guilt almost swallowed me whole. But then I remembered something my therapist once told me. Promises made under emotional duress are not life sentences. I had promised to take care of my mom because my dying father had begged me to, but I realized now he hadn't known who she really was either. He had seen the version she showed him, not the one who lied and manipulated behind his back. That realization broke something loose inside me. I blocked her number. That should have been the end of it, but of course it wasn't. Within days, my uncle and my mom's brother was calling me. He left voicemail after voicemail, all variations of the same thing. "Drop the lawsuit. She's family. Families forgive. Don't be heartless." He minimized everything she did, calling it a mistake and saying she wasn't thinking straight. When I finally picked up and calmly explained the situation, the forged documents, the lies, the attempt to steal my child, he actually said, "Well, at least she didn't succeed." As if failure somehow canceled out intent. I hung up on him and blocked him too. Then the rumors started. Sophie, my golden child sister, took it upon herself to poison the rest of the family against me. She told everyone that I was bitter, jealous of her wedding, lashing out for attention. That I was using my baby as a weapon. People I hadn't heard from in years were suddenly popping into my DMs and my email inbox, asking invasive questions, offering unwanted advice, or outright accusing me of causing unnecessary drama. At first, I tried to ignore it. I really did. But then I realized if this went to trial, if we needed witnesses, character references, proof, silence would hurt me more than speaking up. So I started answering, calmly, factually. Whenever someone messaged me, I laid it out clean. My mother attempted to put my newborn up for adoption against my will by forging legal documents and lying to an agency. She is facing criminal charges and a civil lawsuit. This is not a misunderstanding. This is not a disagreement. This is a felony. Some people apologized and backed off. Some doubled down, accusing me of airing family business publicly. I didn't care anymore. If they thought keeping family secrets mattered more than protecting my child, they didn't deserve a place in my life anyway. The stress was constant, a low buzz under everything I did. Some nights I cried myself to sleep from the sheer weight of it all, trying to be a good mother while half the people who shared my blood acted like I was a monster. But my husband never wavered. He stood by me when no one else did. His parents stood by me, his siblings, his friends. My little family wasn't perfect, but it was real and it was safe. Every time I rocked my baby to sleep, every time he smiled at me with his tiny gummy grin, I remembered what mattered. Negotiations with my mother started because our lawyer suggested it could save time and emotional strain. At first, I agreed. Maybe a settlement would mean we could finally close this chapter and move forward. But from the very first mediation session, it was clear. She didn't want to fix anything. She wanted to play the victim. She walked in crying so loudly the receptionist looked uncomfortable. She made a scene in the waiting area, sobbing about how she was just trying to do what was best, and how no good deed goes unpunished. When the mediator asked her simple, straightforward questions, she dodged and twisted every answer. She blamed the adoption agency. She blamed my husband. She even blamed me for not understanding her true intentions. There was no apology, no accountability, just endless excuses. Every session was like wading through mud, slow, exhausting, infuriating. Meanwhile, Sophie decided to escalate things in her own special way. She showed up at our house one evening, screaming outside like some unhinged reality show contestant. She pounded on the door, yelling that I was destroying Mom's life, that I was selfish, that I was ruining the family. When I didn't open the door, she started threatening me, screaming that she would make sure everyone knows what a horrible mother I was, that I didn't deserve my child, that karma would get me. My baby woke up crying. My hands were shaking. We called the police. They came quickly, thank God, and took her away. She wasn't arrested, just forced to leave, but the look she gave me as they led her off the property chilled me to my core. It wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness, it was pure, festering hate. That night, my husband and I sat down and decided we weren't going to wait for the next blow-up. We filed for a restraining order against Sophie. We contacted a security company to install cameras around the house. We started searching for a new place to live, far away from the toxic mess my family had become. The legal fees were stacking up fast. We drained our savings. Every unexpected expense felt like another punch to the gut. There were nights we ate ramen noodles on the couch, staring at each other in exhausted silence, wondering how the hell it had come to this. But every time I looked at my baby's face, soft and innocent and utterly trusting, I remembered why we were fighting so hard. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was building a world where he would never have to feel the crushing betrayal that I had spent my whole life trying to survive. Emotionally, I was fraying at the edges, sleep-deprived, constantly on edge, jumping at every unexpected knock on the door. But there were bright spots, too. My husband's parents became a rock for us. His mom came over with groceries. His dad fixed the baby's crib when a piece broke. They treated me like their own daughter. No strings, no manipulation, just quiet, steady love. It was more family than I'd ever known, the day of the verdict. Part of me still couldn't believe we were here, that it had come to this, that my own mother had forced us to fight this hard just to protect our family. She showed up late, of course, making a big scene as usual. Dramatic sighs, crocodile tears, whispering to anyone who would listen about how cruel and ungrateful I was. I didn't look at her. I couldn't. The judge didn't waste much time. The evidence was overwhelming. The forged documents, the fake court papers, the lying to an adoption agency, the harassment afterward. Guilty. The word rang in my ears like a gunshot. My mother avoided jail time because she had no prior record, but the consequences were brutal anyway. She was ordered to pay a massive financial fine, most of it going to me and to the adoption agency to cover damages. She was also sentenced to mandatory therapy, community service, and a rehabilitation program. The judge made it very clear that if she violated any of the terms, she would go straight to prison. I didn't cry. I didn't feel triumph. Just a deep, hollow relief, like finally dropping a weight I had been carrying for years without even realizing how heavy it was. After the verdict, we finalized the restraining order against Sophie. No contact, no loopholes. For the first time in my life, my world was quiet. We moved to a new house a month later. Smaller, a little older, but tucked away in a quiet neighborhood where nobody cared about family drama or whispered gossip. The money from the settlement helped cover the moving costs and set up a small savings account for my son. It wasn't much, but it was something. A fresh start. Meanwhile, the fallout back home was brutal in ways I couldn't have predicted. Word spread fast. Neighbors, extended family, even old friends of my parents found out about the charges in the trial. Some people called to apologize for doubting me. Some didn't call at all, and I realized I didn't miss them. Sophie, true to form, turned on Mom the second it became inconvenient to defend her.